Hello there. Thanks for checking out this episode of the Restoration Today podcast. We are doing a live recording. I guess you're not watching it live, but we are at Crawford's Contractor Connection. So Paul and I stepped into a room. We stole a conference room. We'll see if we get kicked out sometime during the podcast. Hopefully we don't. But I am joined by Paul Donald, who is the CEO of Encircle, which is a name that everybody in the industry knows. It's I was talking to Sarah, their director of marketing earlier, which that's not even her title anymore. She's sitting off to the side. She got a promotion, but that's not her title anymore. But anyway, we were talking about how everybody knows what Encircle is. And it's constantly talked about on all the industry pages and people rave about it. So props to you for that. So we're going to dive into a really popular topic in the industry. You just wrote an article for CNR that's on the website about bridging the communication gap between adjusters and contractors, which is a huge hot topic. So we're going to dive into that, but I want you to share a little bit about your background and Encircle first.
Sure. Well, I've got a pretty diverse background. If we go back to 1993 and this thing called the internet that was very new, large banks and insurance companies struggled to move data around globally. A lot of these, especially the banks, were global. And so we created the first heterogeneous database replication engine, which meant data was stored in flat file and relational databases. And how would I move it between Toronto, New York, London, Tokyo, so that people could see this data in real time? So that's really my background. Move forward. Well, BlackBerry had this problem of moving data between devices and email servers, and then move forward to data replication is a problem in every industry where you have a distributed workforce. Okay. And so we brought that to Encircle as well. So my background crosses through all of these different technology types like mobile computing. Yep. But the key thing is, how do you move data efficiently to break down communication gaps, which in banking costs you hundreds of millions of dollars. In insurance, it also costs you hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. So that's why I picked this industry. And a good friend of mine, we're going way back to 1987, was writing policy management software in our living room. This is when software developers, this is very new, 1987. And I got exposed to the insurance industry that way.
Okay, so what do you think, I'm curious on talking about Encircle, what do you think has given it like this almost cult following in the industry? What do you think that you've done that has gotten the kind of following and adoption that you've gotten?
Well, I can tell you we're not perfect and we freely admit to it, but we care. And I think we're best at mobile. See, restoration contractors make and lose money in the field. So if you can empower their field teams to operate more efficiently when gathering the data, creating that complete story, you break down the barriers between the field and the office, which is a huge win. But then when the reports don't leave any gaps, the adjusters love it. And so it's this reinforcing positive feedback loop that starts from the claim admin to the field techs, where they're no longer beating them up anymore for you missed this, you missed that. Now they're happy and the adjuster's happy. All of a sudden you get this nice environment. So I think that's really helped us. But we also freely admit when we're wrong, and we go back and we work as hard as we can to fix it.
So what have you seen as you talk about this communication gap? So what is the gap? Like, where did this gap start? It's become bigger and bigger, right? Like there seems to be more problems between adjusters and contractors and getting through to each other. So where did that start?
Yeah, let me explain it to you simply that we're in a data-driven world. Everything is based on accurate data. And it's only going to, we consume more data than ever, and that will only continue to compound. The problem between the adjuster and the TPA and the restoration contractor is that you have different natured individuals. Insurance companies are actuaries, lawyers, and accountants managing risk. In order to manage risk, they need accurate data and lots of it. TPAs are not simply, but they sit in the middle and they make sure that the data meets the needs of the insurance company. That's what they're hired to do. And then you've got this tactile oriented group called restoration contractors, whose primary job is the physical aspects of mitigation, pack out and rebuild. And they are polar opposites. Now, the one communication medium that works across them all is photos and videos. right? Because
Yep.
capturing a photo and capturing a video is very tactile oriented.
Yes.
It's not administrative.
Yep.
And it speaks common language because we as humans, no matter if we're tactile or administrative, we navigate our world through physical constructs, through visuals.
Yep.
And so that was the bridge that we Encircle strive to make available to across all parties.
Okay.
And so now with the restoration contractor, their goal is to create a report that tells a story. It's all story based. If that story is complete from start to finish and leaves no gaps and no room for interpretation, they're going to win all day long. And we talk to contractors, and literally it's like $500 or more on every job if you can tell the complete story versus a story with gaps.
Yep.
It's like when you hand in your, restoration contractors hand in their stuff for taxes. And there's receipts missing, which I know every single one of them struggles with. What does the accountant do? Has to err on the side of not including those in the taxes. If there's no proof it didn't happen, well, the adjuster's the same way. They are a licensed professional. They can't just make guesses. The information's either there or it isn't. And so we are helping the restoration contractor provide that proof. But to do it, they need choice in the tools to use to get that data to the insurance carriers and the TPAs.
Okay. So you touched on it a little bit, but you've talked about how this is a field first thing, like technicians, it has to start there. So what does that look like, adopting technology into a restoration company where you're getting your techs to do it first in the field?
Yeah, it's actually not as hard as you think. Because the techs already know how to use, for the most part, know how to take photos and videos on their phone.
Yep.
They already identify, especially PMs, identify the cause of loss, resulting damages that are probably there that we haven't identified yet, but we'll look deeper into it, and the work they're going to progress on. So if you can capture those in photos, some voice to text notes, and then a short scope video that says, here's the cause of loss, here's the resulting damages, put the moisture meter down on the floor to show how far the water has migrated, and the reasons why it migrated that far. You take all the guesswork out for an adjuster. Already they have confidence in the reserve they're going to set. They have confidence in communicating with the policyholder because they see what happened. And by the way, they've got a professional who's describing it to them. So now they're going to look smart. What do you think an adjuster wants? When they're in front of the customer, they want to look smart. If your file makes them guess and guess wrong, they're not going to be happy. And so, and all of that takes like 10, 12 minutes. And when you have a PM or tech on a job site, they've got about 10, 12, maybe 15 minutes max to capture all this information. Otherwise, they're going to do it later.
So what is the importance of being able to have software that works together and integrates together to help streamline the entire claims process?
And so, one of the great things about Encircle, and we're very open about this, is that we stick to our knitting. We are world-class at the field data collection side, and we will integrate with all of the parties upstream. There's no one size fits all in this industry. And so in order to truly foster innovation, which this industry desperately needs, we all need to integrate. It's not, listen, I want to own everything and I want to command and control. SAP gave up that game back in the early 2000s. And this industry is still holding on to it in different areas. And it's painful to watch because it's the restoration contractor and the carriers that pay the price. And I hope we can break down that barrier.
What are some of the changes that you've seen on the customer expectations side of things, especially during COVID? Like, I think customer expectations changed a lot, and we're using technology even more and expecting a lot out of contractors or anybody who comes into our home or property. So how have you seen those change and evolve, and what do contractors need to do to keep up with those expectations?
It's actually not so different than with the adjuster. They want full, transparent communication. And if you can't give them full, transparent information, they're going to interpret. And oftentimes they're going to interpret things that don't align with the work that you're doing. They're going to complain to the adjuster. And then the adjuster looks at the file and they're going to interpret it. And they're going to interpret it on the side of the policyholder. Now you've got two people against you when you could have set the record straight right at the beginning, right on the first visit, and captured the details and then sent out the scope video and broken down that barrier. So policyholders want the same thing as adjuster, clear communication, and they want to be served properly.
So what kind of communication are you having with contractors where they're like, okay, I get it and I have all the documentation, but a lot of the adjusters I work with they're not coming into the field as much anymore. They're not involved in the physical claims process nearly as much as they were pre-pandemic. And so it's like they see the pictures and they're seeing the story, and I'm still kind of struggling. This almost goes more into soft skills, right? Like that's a big topic of conversation where you have to build these good relationships and have that conversation. So what do you recommend on that level?
Yeah, actually, when they're doing a scope video, a 2-minute scope video, see, we love Matterport, love DocuSketch. All these tools are great, but it's the voiceover with the video that fills in the gaps. And when we've seen contractors, and there's hundreds of contractors doing this, and they would absolutely say, it has made us way more money, and we've got fantastic relationships with the adjusters and the policyholder. The video just explains it. And it also gives comfort in the PM or lead tech that's on site, because of the way they describe is, wow, this person's knowledgeable. They know what they're doing. I'm going to be hands off and let the contractor do their job. You as a contractor, you have to provide confidence to both parties and fill in those gaps and eliminate any interpretation of the data that you're providing.
What is the best way for contractors to stay up to date on the latest innovations that are coming into our industry, or the latest, software updates or things like that? What's the best way to stay in touch with that?
Wow, that's a loaded question. I wish there was one source. CNR magazine.
Thank you. Good answer. Good answer.
Yeah.
I wish I could. I'll pay you later.
All right. We have our Encircle University that we offer free to all of our customers, and every course is CE credited. And we send out emails. Contractors are terrible at reading emails, so we send out emails, we send out texts. You know what? We're still striving to find that optimal way to communicate, because they're just so busy.
Yep.
They're all over the place. So that's something that I put a lot of thought into, and I haven't come up with a solution for.
Okay, fair. All right, that's fair. What kind of trends do you see on the horizon for the industry? Like, where do you see technology going in the industry in the next maybe 5 years? Let's start there.
Well, I'm a big believer that most of the data collection will be generated through the smartphone. It's something that every PM tech, everybody in the field has. And these devices, a lot of the innovation is around the camera. So you saw LiDAR with the iPhones, virtual reality, AR kits. There's a whole lot of development there. I think it's just going to keep getting better. And we're going to start being able to pull data directly from that to make technicians smarter. So they will still enter the data into the app. They're still going to have to navigate the physical constructs of the job, but I think we're going to be able to make that administrative input just so much faster. And also train them on, with our Encircle Hydro product, we'll actually alert them to, hey, this DHU doesn't seem to be working. Is it on? Go check it. So we can actually give you some guidance on it. And then, of course, you've got your remote sensors with Phoenix, who we love working with that team. I think if I can net it all out, I actually feel like a lot of technology companies are coming together to integrate, and the innovations that will come out of us all sticking into our world-class skill set and innovating deep into that will have profound impacts on the restorer. So it's around speed in the field, accuracy of data, and really supporting why they did what they did and helping them avoid mistakes.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Anything else that we missed from the article, or topics that you think we should talk about?
Yeah, I see restoration contractors not benefiting from insurance companies mandating certain software to be used. One of the things I think is really important is that insurers and TPAs should mandate what is the type of data and the structure of the data it has to come into. And that needs to be open standard, that any software builder can build towards it and offer their solution to the contractor. You've got every size of contractor out there, guys that do $250,000, $500,000 a year to $100 million a year. There is never going to be a one size fits all. We have to stop that mentality, and we have to create standards that multiple technology companies can build towards to help this incredibly important group meet the needs of the insurance carriers and the TPAs. Right now, these mandates are making the restoration contractors have to jump through hoops. It is crazy acrobatics what we're seeing happen there. And so I would like to see, and I would benefit from our software being mandated. But my position is no, it shouldn't be, because you will do a disservice for those who actually can't use it, can't operationalize it.
Yep.
And they will, and we've seen it, they will work around it. They will put, garbage data in because they can't use it in the field, and they'll get caught and their invoices will get scrubbed, but they actually did the job right, and they deserve to get paid in full, but they're not. And it's just, it's a whack-a-mole game. I'd love to see that go away.
Whack-a-mole game. What are some of the things that you're hearing from restorers who come up to you, like at trade shows and stuff like that? What are they typically looking for as they're circulating around and checking out different technology?
They're asking me, what should we deploy, Paul? And it's like, okay, well, let's dig into what is it you're looking for?
Yeah.
What are your business goals? Number one. And then how do we need to empower your field folks to deliver on those? Because that's where you make or lose your money. And let's work backwards. A lot of times everybody starts at HQ and says, okay, I bought this system. Now let me try and make this field stuff work. And that's the wrong way. You have to set your business strategy at the office, but then understand at the field, what is it they need? What is the right technology to be able to move that? It's a service to policyholder and provide the right kind of data that allows me to manage my business and hit my results. And I'm a big believer, you have to know your profit margins on every job.
And okay, so, and how do you recommend that people, okay, so I actually have an article in the next issue of CNR that's the ABCs of P&Ls. And I know that contractors often don't know their numbers and don't know how to break them down. So what do you recommend on that end, where it's like, I look at our numbers sometimes, I don't really know what they mean. I don't really want to look at them. As long as there's money in the bank, I'm good. Like,
do you want to know what the biggest culprit of that is? A lot of times they've got too much garbage data in their system. It's like any accounting system. If you start off with garbage data in the system, you will forever fight that system.
okay.
It doesn't matter, whether it's QuickBooks is probably the easiest one. You pick any of the others, and if you start off on the wrong foot, it's really tough to get back. It's very similar to Salesforce, phenomenal system. But if you mess up and you push garbage data into it, you will fight it for many years to come, or you'll pay a consultant an egregious amount of money to fix it for you.
Come fix it for me.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, Paul, thank you so much. And thank you for all your expertise. And I look forward to more articles from you in the future and continuing conversations. And I hope it's a good show for you.
Well, thank you for having me on your podcast, Michelle. We love working with you.
Thank you.
For more Restoration Today, visit our website, cnrmagazine.com, or find us wherever you get your favorite podcasts.